So one of the really important things that you need to be able to do in R is to import data from file. There's actually a lot that you can do here. I'm only going to show you one very basic approach for importing data using the read.table function, which imports data from file into R as a data frame. That you can use this function to read CSV files, tab delimited files, space separated files, lots of different files. It may not read every kind of file that you can throw at it, but it's pretty versatile as long as you have a text file with data in a reasonably organized format. So how do you use the read.table function? Well, there's three key arguments to the read.table function. So the three arguments are the file argument, the header argument, and the sep argument. So file is going to be the file path and name of the file you want to import into R. I'll show you an example of that. I highly recommend that when you read data, when you're going to be doing it many times, that you actually do specify the file path and the name of the file that you want to import into R. If you don't do that, then it's going to be a hassle to import the data every single time you want to load that data again. However, if you don't know the file path, you can use file equals file.choose, open and close parentheses, and it will actually bring you up a dialog box with which you can find the file located on your computer, just like you would with some other typical application like Microsoft Word or something like that. But once again, I recommend that you do specify the file path directly so that you can reproduce your analysis very easily just by using Control-Enter or re-executing that command in R. The header argument specifies whether your data file has a header, which is really just a row with labels for each one of the columns in your data frame. So if you don't specify this option, R assumes it's false, which means that you don't have any headings for each of the variables in your data frame. But if you specify header equals true, it tells R to read in the data as a data frame, and the column name should be taken from the first row of the data file. So we'll see what that looks like in just a second here. Sep specifies the delimiter separating elements in a file. So the three most common delimiters are space delimited, comma delimited, and tab delimited. So if you have a space delimited file, it means that the different values are separated by a space. You're going to specify sep equals, and this is literally a space in open and closed parentheses. There's actually a space here. And that lets the read.table function that between values there should be a space, and that's what separates different values from one another. If each column of your data is separated by a comma, then you should use sep equals comma in quotes. CSV files are the most common kinds of files that are comma separated values. And if each column of the data is separated in a tab, you might think you would just use sep equals and then a tab in quotes, but in fact you have to specify /t, and that tells R that each of the values are separated by a tab. So these are the three different sep arguments that you're most going to commonly use. And so there's many different examples that you can use. There's actually a lot of other packages you can use that make this easier. This is just the base function that you would use in R. But on my GitHub page, I have a CSV file that we want to read in. So I'm just going to look at that. And you can see here that the first row does in fact have names for each column or each variable in my data frame. So I want header equals true. The separated values are comma here. And this is pretty complex. If this were on your computer, it probably wouldn't be so complex. But you can actually put a web address here. So this is the location where the file is located. So I had to type that out or copy it and paste it in reality. And then this is the name of the file that I want to read. So you have to have that in the file argument. And so if we run that, then it's going to produce the following output. And just so you can see what this actually looks like in RStudio, I'm actually going to do that. It runs a little slow, but that's okay. So I'm just going to copy and paste that here. And you can see that it reads it in and produces it to the screen. So that is one of the ways that we can import data into R. But you might also consider the read.r package, which we'll learn about later in this course, which is a more advanced way, or perhaps a better, more streamlined way of reading from different data files into R.